going to start the recording. All right, here we go. So thanks again for attending tonight. My name is Josh King. I'm the Assistant Director for Athlete Career Development. I also work with our business and finance students and employers. So tonight, we're obviously looking at LinkedIn. There are a lot of things that we can cover when we talked about LinkedIn. Tonight, we're really going to focus on, your profiles, some of the skills assessments. We're going to look at the algorithm and how to use that to your advantage. Obviously, talk about a few networking strategy tips with alumni, and then some general tips as well. So before we dive in deep, we want to talk about the power of LinkedIn. I did this presentation in the spring, last spring in April. And at that point, there was about 660 million total users. So there's an estimation that in the past year, it's gone up by about 100 million people. Now, of those people, there's about 310 active monthly users, and 171 million of those are based out of the United States. So, this is a huge platform. And that means a lot of things. Obviously, there's 30 million companies. So that's a lot of companies. It's used for individuals. It's used for obviously job searches and other things. The scope of this could be shown, 12% of the world's population in theory could be reached by a single ad. And right now we have this number has actually gone up a little bit to about 17,600, but there are a lot of alumni on the page. So when we talk about the power of LinkedIn, there are a lot of people on this platform. So there's a lot of things that you can do with it. But we talk about that, and what do you guys notice in these two screenshots that were taken from LinkedIn? And as Molly noted as well, if your first and last name is not on your name, if you could just change that temporarily so we can take attendance. But feel free to put, if you guys have any thoughts, again, feel free to put these in the chat. But do you guys notice anything with these two screenshots? So if you look closely, when was that posted? That was a week ago. Same thing on this one. There are millions and millions of users, but on LinkedIn, there's actually a content deficit, which means that old posts just get recycled and reshared and they appear in that algorithm because there's not enough content. So you might have 600 followers, but chances are, only maybe, 10 to 15 of those followers or connections are going to post on a fairly regular basis. About 1% of LinkedIn users post more than once a week. These were on my feed today. So this is something where, this isn't something where I was scrolling through. These were within the first probably 15 to 20 posts. So again, we talk about that, and we're going to talk a lot about how to use the algorithm and how to get your post noticed so that you can take advantage of that. So now, we have first things first, right? So we want to start with what makes a good profile. One of the biggest things, with anything in the job process, in my opinion, is, well, obviously first impressions matter, but you want to be authentic. So, what does that mean? You want to have a professional profile picture. These days, everyone has an iPhone or a camera phone that can take really good pictures. Next time you're at any sort of, and I know we don't have a whole lot of events going on right now, but if you could have a roommate or a family member just take a picture of you wearing business casual clothes, that's a really good thing to do. It's easy. Also having a relevant background photo. So your banner photo, I work at Davidson, obviously. So mine is a picture of the campus. You could do something that's related to your career. If you're an athlete, you could do something that's related to your sport. If you like art, you could post, something that's artistic, just something that's relevant to you. Everything that you do within your LinkedIn, you want to think of it through, like a professional branding lens, right? So when someone looks at your profile, you want it to reflect all the things that you want people to see and who you are as a person and a professional. Now, the next thing is job title, even for students, right? A lot of you guys have internships. Again, you might have positions in your eating house. You might be a captain on your athletic team. There's a lot of different things a lot of different titles you guys have. Some of you might just feel better putting student at Davidson College or econ major at Davidson College or whatever your major is. That's perfectly fine as well. The last thing when we're talking about first impressions is your about me description. We're going to go into detail on that and what a good one looks like. But this is hugely important, as oftentimes this is going to be the first impression that people see on your profile. The next thing is updated content, right? So again, we saw there's a content deficit. You want to make sure you're posting fairly regularly. Again, most people on average don't post more than once a week. We'll talk about what's a good amount, what are types of posts you can do. The other thing is your experience, right? So just like your resume, you want to be updating your LinkedIn at least once a semester, because ideally you guys are getting some sort of new experiences or skill sets at least once a semester, or at least once an academic year. The last thing are skills and endorsements. Those are things that as you're using LinkedIn Learning, which we'll talk about, as you're gaining, skills and experiences through your internships, your work studies, your classes, anything you're doing, you want to make sure those are updated as well. And again, we're going to talk a lot more about this in depth. We're also going to do a tour of LinkedIn and kind of walk through how to do these and what these things mean. So when we talk about content, what type of content do we need? So think of it in three layers. You have a basic profile, an average profile, and a competitive profile. So a lot of people obviously start with the basic profile. You get your profile picture, you list your job experiences from your resume, you update your education. Well, we want a little bit more than that, right? We want it to be more customized. So then the next steps are, we list a few skills, we mark a few interests, and we have some basic activity. We scroll our friends' posts, we like things, we share things, and that's great. But really to, be engaging and to really gain and benefit from LinkedIn, you want to have a competitive profile. So that's all of these things. Plus, you want some verified LinkedIn skills. There's a huge percentage, it's very important to have these verified skills because you're more likely to get hired off of LinkedIn. And when recruiters see your profile, if you have those verified skills, it means a lot more than, anyone can say they can use Photoshop, but if you pass that assessment, that actually means something. Assessments aren't easy. Again, I know we have a lot that we'll talk about, but we'll walk through that as well. Original posts, blogs, content with media. Content with media is huge. It can be up to 3 times as many more views for something that has a picture, up to 5 times as many for something that has a video. So you don't want to just post words. You want to be interactive. All right. And then again, we want to utilize that algorithm for more exposure. I'm just going to stop real quick. Does anyone have any questions? Again, you can throw those in the chat or you can come off the mic. Just, I know we're covering a lot and we have a lot more detail to go into, but just want to give a few seconds for those questions if we have any at this point.
I have a question. So on my LinkedIn, I've only tried to put one job title, so I haven't attempted to put more than one, but is it possible to list multiple job titles at once?
Are you speaking for a current job?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something you would have to figure out, within there isn't really one way to list multiple. You could list, like multiple lines or multiple entries. I would pick the one that's most relevant to you at this time. And then just know that if you have those other jobs listed in your work experience, it'll show there.
Okay. Thank you.
That's a good question, especially for you guys that have multiple positions, again, within student organizations and you have internships, things like that. I would lean towards what's the most professional, so to speak. So if you have an incoming internship this summer, I would put that over, you're the vice president of your eating house or your organization. But again, that's a great question. Always feel free to, we can walk through individually at the end as well. So again, when we look at this, third, second, first, we definitely want to have a competitive profile. So now we're going to look a little bit more about that. So when we talk about what makes good content, your about me it's a virtual elevator pitch, right? It's going to be the first words that people see on your profile. It's going to be their first impression. So that's a really important piece to have. Original posts. So this is where a lot of people get tripped up, right? It's, you might be thinking, well, I'm just in classes. I may not have a real internship yet. What do I post? Well, what projects are you working on? What skills are you gaining? Is there anything you're proud of? Who has helped you? Give them credit. This is a community platform. You want to give other people the credit they deserve. Just, that's a good way to do that as well. So another thing is, what have you learned recently? Are you working on things on LinkedIn? Have you completed a certification? What have you done over the break? How are you using that time? Another thing, did you overcome failure to get there? Did you get denied for a couple internships and then you finally got accepted? It's one of those things where everyone goes through those sorts of things. This is a platform where you can be a little bit more vulnerable and show those things that haven't gone as well, and show how you've overcome those. That's a good thing, to be honest and, again, be transparent. Just show who you are and what you're going through. Nothing too personal, and I always try to stay away from politics as well. But in terms of those minor things, that's good. The other thing is, use hashtags. If you want to create new connections just off your post and you want people to be able to see what you're posting, use hashtags. That's a really important thing. And again, we'll walk through that during the tour as well. And regardless of what you post, please make it interactive. You want to show pictures and video if possible, but you also want to encourage follow-up action. So maybe tell someone to comment on your, or ask for people's opinions. Say, tag a friend that this may be applicable to. And on the flip side, when you're reading people's posts, comment on it. Say that's a great post, or congratulations, or share an opinion if they post something where they're seeking for a conversation. This is a very interactive platform. And again, all those things will feed into that algorithm to help your profile get more views and to help you be more engaging on the platform. So when we talk about, your About Me example, this is made up. I made this, so I did not take this from anyone. But if you were to see this profile, it says, I'm an economics major at Davidson College, hoping to work in banking or finance someday. I completed a summer analyst internship at Wells Fargo, which taught me a lot. I am in the pre-business society on campus. Has some basic information. It's a little casual, but it's not super descriptive. So what are some of the things that maybe could be better? They don't list a class year, right? Now, someone could see that in the education section and do the math, but you always want to state your class year. Again, this is why it's important to update these things. If you have recruiters looking at you, you want them to know, are you a sophomore, junior, senior? Depending on your industry, that could impact, which internships and jobs that they're looking for. The other thing is, business and finance are two very broad areas. This could be anything. This could be, I'm interested in political science. I'm interested in communications. That doesn't really tell me a whole lot. You want to be specific, like what areas did you work in? What areas are you interested in? What skills do you have? The other thing is, honestly, seems like a pretty boring individual, right? You want to give a little bit of that personal flair. You want to show who you are. This is about you, right? So you want to be engaging. You want people to see that you're more than just, an economics major who had a job. All right. So when we look at that, these are two good examples, right? So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but you can see in the first one, you kind of get an idea of what they're involved with on campus. You see their majors, they're involved with other campus things, and they're looking in finance. So again, not super specific, but there's a lot more information there, and they might be an exploring student. If you're an exploring student, that's perfectly fine to say, right? I'm exploring different areas. That gives someone an idea that you're still trying to figure it out. Maybe if they're an alum or a mentor, they'll be more willing to help you if they know that you're looking for things and trying to figure those processes out. The second one here, again, lists the class year, major, talks about, they're passionate towards a career in business. And I know this is a lot of business. There's a lot more things on LinkedIn than that. So I don't feel like that's the only thing we have. Again, talking about leadership committees they're on. And at the end, you see a random tidbit, right? Jigsaw puzzle enthusiast. This is a cool fact to have, just something random, shows a little bit more outside of your career, shows a little personality. But again, these are pretty descriptive, right? So this is what you're looking for. Lengthwise, this is pretty good. You don't want to have a 3-4 paragraph about me. You want it to be simple to read. The other thing is, keep in mind, when people are on your profile, it's only going to show the first 3 lines. So you want to really make sure that you have the most important things in those first 2-3 lines so that it's visible and it's going to want people to read more and click that read more button. Any questions on the About Me? The other advice I would give with this is, there's no right or wrong way per se. what I would really advise you guys to do is go look at alumni that are in positions that you may be interested in and see how they structured theirs. If you have classmates that you feel like are successful and have gotten internships you're interested in, see what they're doing on their profile, see what experiences they have, what skills they have. That's a great way to get an idea of what you should be working towards. And then look at 5 or 6 of them and put them together and add your own twist and, be creative. You can do it your way. But definitely looking at other people who you view as successful can be a really good way to, get that perspective. And the other thing again is anything personalized or custom to your LinkedIn, we're happy to walk through, either in walk-in appointments or you can schedule those one-on-ones. So next up, we're going to look at content. Again, I think content is the hardest thing for people, students, when they're trying to figure out what do I post and how do I post things. Here, a couple good examples, shows growth. This is a subtle way to show that you've gained new skills. And that's a really important thing. You're bettering yourself. You took advantage of opportunities there. Uses hashtags. So that's good because she put a hashtag for the industry she's looking at, the company she's looking at. She also tagged the company up top. Put an image there. Again, it's more interesting than just text. This also feeds into the algorithm. When they see things with images and videos, it's more likely to pop up. So that's a nice touch as well. On this content example, you'll notice that she shared a video, but didn't just share it, put a little bit of her own insight in there. So she did something that shows her values and her take on the content. Again, good personal, professional branding to really show, what you got out of this and to encourage other people. All right. And again, video content, which is always valuable. All right. Next content example. Again, this is, she shared someone else's post, shows the value of her experience instead of simply just sharing. You can feel the passion, something that she's excited about. This gets other people excited. All right. And then again, in the original post, we look at, Kayla talked about different people who have contributed to this organization, this event, this group. So that's a good way to give them credit for what they're doing. Again, it engages them. If you're tagged in something, you're more likely, like Ali did, to share it and then comment on it. And then that's kind of cyclical. And that gets, a lot more content out there. Again, hashtags create more views. Just a good way to do that as well. And again, video content. So you see a common theme there. All right. So real quick, we're just going to do breakout rooms. We're not going to, we'll probably give it 3 minutes, but 3 to 5 minutes, just what are you going to share in your about section? And if you've gone on LinkedIn and you're utilizing it, what types of posts do you find most engaging? All right. So again, we're just going to pop into the breakout rooms. I will send you guys there. Before we head to those, are there any questions? If you have any questions while you're in there, just let me know and we can answer those. All right. Hey, Tristan, how are you?
Doing well.
Saw somebody left. I just wanted to pop in. Sorry about that.
No worries.
So, have you created your about me section yet?
I have not.
So what are some things you think you might include in that?
Um, Maybe that I'm on the football team or looking for some like software engineering type internships.
Yeah.
Oh, my grad year, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's good. Is there anything you're working on like individually, like skill wise, or something that you're trying to pursue within that? And it's okay if not, I'm just curious.
Not right now.
Yeah, cool. Um, how much experience do you have with LinkedIn and just looking through everything?
Not a whole lot. I think I looked at it before the semester when you had that meeting with the football players, I think.
Yeah,
And then earlier this week or last week, whenever I saw there was a meeting tonight,
yeah.
too much.
Like what do you think could be helpful for you for what you've seen or just kind of what you understand? Like what type of content would you look for?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I'd need to look at LinkedIn a little bit more, get more familiar with it.
Yeah, no, that's not a bad answer. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different content. It really just depends on where you're at and what you're looking for. Um, I like reading a lot of articles because I think it's interesting. Some of them are current events, but then obviously it feeds to what you look at. So I get a lot about higher ed or athlete development, career development, life skills development, things like that. So I also like reading to see where you guys get jobs because it feels like I see a lot of those posts, especially at certain times in the year. So,
Yeah, but that's
but you have a good break. You ready to come back tomorrow? What, Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. Ready to get back.
Yeah. That'll be good. Cool. Well, I'm going to pull us back into the room. So hopefully we still have everyone.
Sounds good.
Cool. So I think we might have lost one or two, but it looks like everyone that stayed in the rooms is back. So let's see. So does anybody have anything that they wanted to share they found interesting about what other people have or are interested in putting in their about section? I see some in the chats. Okay. Yeah, and I see some of you guys have other meetings. The recording will be emailed out. So yes, that's a good question. If you have to leave early for meeting, perfectly fine. We will send that out. But yeah, anything interesting from the about sections or just types of posts that you guys find engaging? Again, feel free to put those into the chat if you don't want to speak.
We were kind of talking about the different ways to set up the opening of it. So like saying I have done these things versus like listing skills and like having bullets in between them and sort of the benefits of both of those.
Yeah, that's great. Is there a preference you guys might have or just different styles?
We were saying that we like the look of the dots, but I think that was just like a yeah.
I think the biggest thing, and kind of to that point, I think the biggest thing is to be efficient and to be quick. No one wants to read, a novel. You just want it to be quick and to the point. So, even if you look at my profile, you'll see my sentences are very short and to the point. I just want people to be able to scan it and move on and stay engaged. So I think that's a good point there. Are there any types of posts that when you see from other people or you post yourself that you guys find more or even less engaging? I know for me, I think what I enjoy the most are two things. I like reading the different articles. It's a good place for me to find information about my industry and what I'm doing to kind of learn on my own. And then obviously my favorite posts are seeing you guys get internships and jobs and all those good things. But for you guys, what do you like?
I definitely like the articles as well because I think it kind of takes you down to like a different avenue. You can explore more or just like read the summary. So I think those are really interesting when you see them.
Yeah, that's always good too. So cool. So we'll move ahead to the next part. Um, that's looking at LinkedIn skills assessments. So on the screenshot, there's some directions. You guys will also get the PowerPoint, so don't feel like you have to write everything down. You guys will get this to go back and look at. But the LinkedIn skills assessments are really important. Just like a skills section on your resume, it's a quick place for recruiters and other people to see what skills, generally technical, hard skills, software skills, language skills that you have. So you can add up to 50. Again, we talked about verified skills and endorsed skills. Verified skills are when you take those LinkedIn skills assessments and you get the nice little check mark. And then endorsed skills are when, if you were to see one of your friends put communication skills or public speaking and you feel like they're a good public speaker, you can endorse them. And then that shows the number of people that endorse them and gives credibility to what they're saying. Again, we'll take a look at that on the LinkedIn tour here in a little bit. LinkedIn Learning is also a super valuable tool. I know some of you guys may have heard of it, but a lot of you guys may not. LinkedIn Learning it costs money, but fortunately through the college, it's free access. So it's normally $30 a month, which is, nice little value that you guys get through the college. There's over 5,000 different courses and all sorts of topics from graphic design, business, leadership, public speaking, even how to use LinkedIn, how to network, all those different things. You can see the 3 categories there. There's also Learning Pass, which, there's courses and videos. So if you would rather watch a video than, read an article, this is a great place for you to go. If you're trying to learn a new skill set, this is also really valuable. Learning Pass are a series of videos put together in a certain order so that you can, figure things out. A lot of them also come with certifications. So when you complete that course, you can transfer it to your LinkedIn and it'll show that it's verified that you completed that certification, which again can be really cool for recruiters and others to see. So we got a good question here. Do you know if we get free access after graduating? I believe it cuts off June 30th. I do know I had a couple students last year who were in the middle of courses after graduation, and they just contacted Davidson TI and T&I, and they helped extend that for a little bit. So if you're in that situation, I don't think it lasts too long, but you can always work with T&I to see how long you can get that to go.
I have a question as well.
Yeah, sure.
If you're taking a course on LinkedIn Learning, is it connected to your LinkedIn account? Like if you don't finish a course, does it say that you had taken some of the courses, or do you have to put that there yourself?
No, you have to move that there yourself. Okay. That's something where I'm just for simplicity, we'll walk through all these at the end, but I can show you where that will appear. And then honestly, the easiest way to do it is just to Google how to do it. And LinkedIn has an article that could walk you through how to transfer that. But yeah, that's a good question. You're the only person that sees your courses in process. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a good question. I'm going to pause for a minute because we had a couple. Any other questions as we go along? Perfect. So understanding the algorithm. This is really important. And, I'm talking a lot about how to be seen, how to get involved, all that. That stuff's really important. But again, we go back to the first point where I don't want you guys to feel like this is just an exercise on the surface. Like you want to actually get value out of this content, right? And you want to be doing things that are meaningful. You want to be involved in conversations. So don't feel like this is all for show. It shouldn't feel like that. You should be doing things that are actually meaningful to you, that are helpful to you, providing value to others in the LinkedIn community. So I just want to be clear with that. Like this isn't something that we just want to do for show. We do actually want to be doing it for value, both for ourselves and to provide it for others. So, just when we're looking at the algorithm, There's 5 pretty simple steps to success. There's also an article here on the bottom that goes into a lot more detail with some of these things, but we'll just kind of breeze through the highlights. The first thing is you want to be relevant, right? If you log in, I saw a graphic earlier that basically showed, there's 1%, 9%, and 90%. There's 90% of what they call lurkers, which I don't know if I like that word, but it basically means you get on LinkedIn and you look a bunch of stuff, but you're not really involved. And then there's 9% that are contributors, meaning you get on there, you comment on stuff, you share stuff, you like stuff, but you don't really do much on your own. And then there's 1% that's creators. So not everyone's going to be or needs to be a creator. If we had 100% creators, that would be a lot of content. And I don't know if that'd be a good thing, but you do want to be a contributor. So even if you don't want to post your own content and come up with all that creative stuff, especially if you're early in your career and you don't feel like you have the expertise for that, you do want to be a contributor. So that's where we want to be relevant. We want to flaunt your skills. Again, we want to create community. Like I said, we want to be genuine. We want to be doing things for the right reasons, not just to be seen. And then we want to use the analytics that we know. So looking at this a little bit closer, again, be active, comment, post, share. The easiest way to think of it is everyone has a morning routine. Now, for different people, that looks different. I know for me, for better, for worse, my first routine before I even get out of the bed is looking at my phone, right? I'm going through my bank account, checking ESPN for the scores, looking at Instagram. I put LinkedIn right into that little cycle. So I might be on my phone for 5-6 minutes, but most mornings I'm seeing, did anyone get an internship? Is there a good article? I might read that for a few minutes. When you do that, it becomes habit. So you don't have to think, oh crap, I haven't looked at my LinkedIn in 2 weeks. It's just something that you do. There might be some mornings where you get on and there's nothing really new, nothing worth looking at, but just try and make that part of your habit and this will come a lot easier. So once you're doing that, commenting, posting, sharing is easy. Maybe like a picture here, comment there. Again, utilize media. I think I said 3 times earlier, I'm corrected, 2 times more views per post if you throw a picture in there. 5 times more views for posts if you put a video. Other things you can do to be creative, and you can put a poll. That's a new feature, to put a poll. Now you can actually go live on LinkedIn. So those are other different ways you can become involved. Flaunt your skills. Again, verified skills are really important. You're 30% more likely to get hired if you have verified skills. Now, I believe this means more so directly off LinkedIn, but nonetheless, it's a nice little stat there to help support that process. Again, create community. That could be within the Davidson community. That could be within your industry community. That could be a regional community. That could just be the entire 766 million people LinkedIn community. But encourage engagement. Again, questions, polls, be active, participate in groups. One thing, we talk about looking at other people, look at others and see people that, the creators, and see how they're doing their content. Try and emulate some of those things. I see a lot of people that, have a lot of comments on their posts and they end every post with a question. Agree, disagree, share your story, or what do you think? What's your opinion? So that's a good way to get people involved as well. Again, be genuine. That's pretty simple. I think part of the important part here is, sharing a few hardships and success. It doesn't have to be cliche. It doesn't have to be, a crazy story. It could just be a simple frustration. It can be a place to professionally vent sometimes. You'll get support from other people. I know sometimes when I see other people and I know I've gone through that situation, it makes me feel better in a sense because I know other people going through it, and then I can support that person. Especially if it's students where I see a common theme, I know, okay, maybe we need to do a workshop on this area. We need to do a better job educating on a particular area. So there's nothing wrong with it. You just want to do it in a professional manner. And of course, you want to show success. That's something that you work really hard. This is a place to share that. And the last part is we want to optimize those analytics. So, the best times to post, according to the analytics, are 7:45, 10:45, 12:45, and 4:45. When you think about it, this makes a lot of sense, right? People first getting into work, or now just waking up for work, maybe that mid-morning break, lunchtime, and then the last thing before people head out sometimes is winding down the day, checking LinkedIn. So these are the best times to post. Again, it's not a hard science, but just some general advice there. Any questions on algorithms or in ways to get involved with that? Cool. So one of the last parts before we go to the actual page is the alumni page. So this is something that you definitely want to get involved with. The Davidson Network group is a great group to get involved with. Oftentimes there's job postings. Another cool feature with this is if you want to connect with someone or you want to message someone who's an alum, but you're not connected with, you can actually go through the group. And if you're both in it, you can message them directly instead of having to connect with them first. Obviously, it might be a connection you want to make, but this is an easy way to get around that if that's something you need immediately. The other thing is tell your story. When you're meeting with an alum, there's two things you want to do, and they're right here. You want to tell your story. You want to let people know where you're at, where you're searching, what you're interested in, what you're passionate about, relate to them, what experiences they have. Do they have the same professor? Did they live in the same dorm? Were they in similar groups? And the other thing is you want to be confident and strategic when you network and you're reaching out. Do your research. When alumni are happy to talk with you for the most part, they actually really love it. I know I always like talking with, students at the school I went to, but they want you to do your research. They want you to know about them. They want you to guide the conversation. The last thing you want to do is connect with an alum and have an informational interview or a general networking session where you're learning about their career. You don't want them to have to feel like they have to guide the conversation. You want to have the questions. So where did they work? What do you want to know about what they do? Do you want to know about current trends, things that they see being issues in 5 years, things that they're excited about in the next couple of years? On Handshake and the resources, we have a networking guide that has a lot of step-by-step ways to prepare for this, questions to ask, all those good things. So definitely do your research before you set up that meeting with an alum. Now we're going to go to LinkedIn real quick and walk through a couple of things. So here we are. So when we go to LinkedIn, we're at our homepage. So obviously this is my profile. So again, title is important. Like I mentioned, having a relevant background picture can be really important. Professional headshot. Down here, if you're open to working and you're looking for a job, this is a relatively new feature. You can put that. Someday, if you're hiring people, put that section. When you're looking at building out your profile, some of you guys in the early stages, you might be starting from scratch. This is where you can build out all those sections. So if you want to add skills, accomplishments, you want to add that about me section, it doesn't just come there. You actually have to go in here and click that in there. Obviously I have it, so not a big deal for me. Another thing is when you're trying to build connections, if you look to the right, there's people also viewed. This is a great way to just go down the line and add all of your classmates, teammates, people that you've interned with. This is a really good way to go there. So I highly recommend using this quickly to add people. When we look at the about section, again, I keep mine relatively short, straight and to the point. But when you read those 3-4 sentences, you can gather pretty quickly what my job is, what I'm passionate about. I worked in athletics before I came here, so I also have all the schools that I worked with. If someone's reading my profile, that might draw a connection just from a similar school that I worked at and they went to, or somewhere they also work, things like that. The featured section here is pretty cool. So your activity shows up, you can feature those stories. So there's something that you're really proud of and you want people to see that immediately. This is a great place to put that. There's different statistics that you can look at to see things of who's looking at your profile, how many views your posts are getting, all that good stuff. Again, your activity shows up, so you want to be active. The other thing is this is a great way for other people to see what you're interested in. So, again, do things that are meaningful to you. Share articles that are relevant to the industry you want to go into or that celebrate your teammates or things like that. Your experience. So a lot of people ask about this section. Really, it's pretty simple. Just copy and paste your resume. That's a great way to do it. The benefit of this is maybe you have more stuff that you want to talk about than you can fit on your resume if you're trying to keep that to a page, which is what you should be doing. So this is a great place to add some of those extra facts that maybe you can't fit on your normal resume. Now, obviously there you want to put your education. Again, here you'll see that button to take skill quiz. That's where we want to take those skill quizzes. You can see all the different areas you can go into. Again, I do warn you, these are not easy. So I would definitely refresh on LinkedIn Learning if you're not 100% confident. If you don't pass it, you have to wait 90 days to retake it. They want people to legitimately know these skills so that, again, it's a verified skill. Otherwise, you'd have people like me who would just take a bunch of them just to see what we could get done, and just try and retake them. So definitely be prepared before you start those. But when you do get those passed, you'll see it has a nice little check mark verifying that skill. I don't have it on mine because I took it off, but around here is where you'll see those certifications, and we'll walk through LinkedIn Learning and kind of show that part of it. But this is where it would show up if you complete those certifications on LinkedIn Learning. And then again, pick some interests that are meaningful to you. So I don't know where this one has come from, but everything else you can kind of see, you know, those are things, places I've worked at, or obviously the Davidson ones are things I'm involved with here. So again, from top to bottom, you know, you want your page to brand what you want to portray professionally. Any questions on, oh, sorry. Should friends endorse each other on skills, or should that be a function only for employers and more professional people? The more endorsements you get, the better. You know, people don't necessarily know who's your friends and who's your employer. When you look at it down here, it's largely just a number. So these are people that have endorsed me for certain things. A great way to get people to endorse you is to endorse them. You know, if someone endorses me for a couple skills, I'm going to think, oh, well, Kate endorsed me for XYZ. You know, she's really good at communicating. She's really good at this. So let me endorse her for that. So definitely something you can do with your teammates, your classmates, friends, fellow coworkers, all that good stuff. Second piece is if you don't do well in a quiz, can you remove that result from your profile? They're not going to see it. If you don't pass it, it just doesn't show as verified. You could still have that skill. So say I took Microsoft Word and didn't pass it, I can still list this skill. I just don't get that. So definitely nothing to worry about on that piece. Good questions though, good questions. Anything else with the LinkedIn page? The other thing with this is obviously this is a lot of general information. Different industries can be more specific. That's where, again, I highly recommend if you have specific questions, definitely feel free to stop in on walk-ins, or, you know, even email us, or, you know, whatever the case is, schedule an appointment. Definitely happy to help. But there's a lot of things that can vary industry to industry. So when we looked at LinkedIn Learning, this is a super valuable tool for a lot of reasons, especially if you're, whether you're a first year, honestly, or a senior. You know, this is a great place to build skills for your resume. It's a great place to just learn about what you're interested in. So again, if you go up here to the browse section, you can see there's the 3 categories. Since I made this presentation in the spring, it looks a little different. So you can see all the different areas. So maybe you're interested in project management, or, you know, customer service, whatever. You know, you can click these different areas, see different videos. Maybe you're more interested in the creative. Maybe you want to go into digital marketing or something like that. You know, you can look at different photography skills, editing images. Maybe you're looking at music. Maybe it's something that's not even professionally related, but for one of your student orgs, you want to create a video, you know, to promote your group. There's a lot of cool stuff on here. Again, at the bottom, there's software, so you can learn how to use those different things. Especially as you guys are students, you can get a lot of free trials or student discounts on different softwares. So a good time to take advantage of that and learn, even if it's a 30-day preview. And then the technology skill, again, great way to learn a lot of these things that are relevant for business. And I just saw that question about the featured, so I'll definitely answer that. I'll take a look back there. But again, these are software. So say Power BI is something you want to learn how to use. You can see the course here. So that's 3 hours and 20 minutes of content. You can also see there's a learning path. So again, a learning path is, you know, so this is talking about becoming a data analyst. A learning path is a bunch of videos strung together. And you can see, again, almost 24 hours of content. Obviously something you're not going to knock out in a weekend, but maybe it's a goal of you want to watch 1 video per week. And by spring break, you know, you have that skill, you've learned about those different things. These are nice because they're strung together in a way where you're building off of it and you don't have to figure that part out. So if it's something new to you, this can be really helpful. Again, there you earn that certificate, and then you can transfer that to your LinkedIn profile, which again will pop up around here. And again, the easiest way to do that is just to Google it. And then LinkedIn has a nice little article that walks you step by step on how to do that. So we had the question about elaborating on types of things you can put in the featured section. Can you add things you've done for a class? The featured section is pretty much anything that you've posted. So if I wanted to add something here, maybe I want to add an article that I saw published. Maybe I want to add a link. So this might be something where if you have writing samples that you want people to see, maybe you have a Wix account. Maybe you can link your web page to that. Maybe you're an artist and you have a portfolio that you want to share. You can upload that media, and obviously anything that's posted on LinkedIn, you just add it there, and then you can scroll through all your posts, figure out which one you want to do, and it's as simple as that. The other thing is you can also organize them. So, maybe I want to move this up or down. Maybe I want to be the first one visible. That's different things you can do with that as well. But the thing that you want to do is really just keep it updated. So I try to update these at least, once every 2 months or so, or honestly, as I post things, if I think this is really valuable. Obviously right here, this is our current series. So I want that to be visible because that's the most important thing on my profile going on right now. But again, I would just do things that are meaningful to you. So hopefully that helps with that. Next question, do we have to create an account with our Davidson email address to gain these features? That's a great question. Sorry, I forgot to go over that. For LinkedIn, obviously, you just create a profile. I would actually recommend you use a personal email address for LinkedIn. Just that way, once you graduate, you don't have to think about changing that or worry about changing that. However, for LinkedIn Learning, the easiest way is if you just type in LinkedIn Learning. Man, I can't spell it tonight, huh? You can see where I've already searched it today. If you search that, there's this article right here from the college. It'll take you here and it'll just actually link it straight through your single sign-on to your specific LinkedIn profile, and that will give you access to LinkedIn Learning. Another good question. Thanks for reminding me of that. Let's see. So any questions or anything you guys want to see on here before we head back to the presentation? We are about to wrap up, but definitely have time for any questions if you would like to walk through any of this. All right, perfect. So we're going to go back to the presentation and wrap up. So a couple of networking tips and tricks. When you're on the phone on the mobile app, a couple different things. You'll see this little button right here. If you click that, it gives you options to add contacts. So you can just go straight through your phone and add a bunch of people that you're already connected with. You can scan a QR code. So if you're doing a presentation like this and you want people to be able to add you quickly, you could pull out your phone and you could add me just by scanning your camera on the QR code. The other thing is, again, with COVID, we're not doing this as much, but if you're at a conference or a presentation or a school function or whatever, you can actually turn this function on and it'll allow you to connect with anyone who's in the room and has that turn on. It works via Bluetooth. So a pretty cool function. The other thing that's really helpful with that is if you are trying to find people in a room, at a conference or an event, and you're trying to find people that might be helpful to speak with, this is a good way to find who's in the room, and you can be strategic with your networking. We already did a LinkedIn tour. So the last thing I want to leave you guys with is just a little challenge. We did this in the spring, and I can definitely tell that a lot of people took it to heart. This is really about building habits. Is it a habit that you need to do this all the time, 24/7, 365? No. But if you start doing this for a month, you'll get in those daily habits, those weekly habits. And that's really what we're trying to do. Is you don't want this to be something that you just do when you need a job or when you need to connect with someone. You want to become part of a habit, because then you'll get those things even when you weren't expecting it. So, the challenge is, can you make 3 interactions? That could be a like, it could be a share, it could be a post. Again, if you're going to share something, it's a lot better to add a personal message or tip to that. Read one article. Those things take 4 to 5 minutes tops. If you do 3 interactions in an article read, it could be an interaction about an article. That's really quick stuff. It's nothing too time consuming. Weekly, can you share 3 posts and add your own feedback? Can you share 2 original posts and content? What did you do over winter break? What are you looking forward to in the spring? You know, do you have a summer internship? Are you looking for a summer internship? Anything like that. Again, research and connect with alumni. I will be honest, you know, sometimes LinkedIn can be really helpful for, you know, linking up with alumni. Don't expect to get 100% response rate. I'd use it professionally to help find people to come to our events and things like that. If I get about 30, 40% response rate, I'm pretty happy with that, because of the people that are going to respond, they're going to be really helpful. So don't get down if you reach out to 4 or 5 people and don't get a response. Just keep trying and find those people that are meaningful to you. And once you get those connections, just keep them going, right? It's quality over quantity. That last section, you know, add 2 new skills or certifications. Obviously, in the heat of the semester, this can be tough, but in the slower times, like now, we have a couple weeks till classes start, you know, things like that. Great time to do it. Summer, great time to do it. Bonus, write a blog, write something that's interesting to you. And that can be a great little touch as well. So I see a couple other questions, which is great. How important is it to get to 500 plus connections? I can answer that in 2 parts. It's not important so that you have the 500 plus number, as it's not important in the sense of a status. It's important in the sense of, I just read in an article today, for every 1 connection you have, that's possibly on average 400 other people you could be connected with. So for example, if I like your post and one of your connections sees that, or sorry, one of my connections sees me like that, but they're not connected with you, now they're going to see your content. So think of it as it is important because of the branches that come off of that, not because you have that 500 plus. The status doesn't matter. It's the connections. So yes, I would say that you want to connect with people, but connect with people that are meaningful to you or have a purpose behind that. I wouldn't just go hog wild and click a bunch of random people. You want to have purpose behind that. And who is appropriate to connect with? Honestly, anyone that can help you, right? So it may be someone who has nothing to do with Davidson, nothing to do with anyone you know, but they're an industry leader and you want to connect with that person. That's what this platform was built for. So, you know, if you're going to reach out cold to someone, just put a message and explain why you want to reach out to them. That is perfectly acceptable. That is literally what the platform is for. So definitely, it may not be comfortable at first, but you know, it's something that's definitely acceptable. Man, you guys have had the most questions I've had in the 15 of these I've done this year. So, well, in the last year. So I appreciate that a lot. So on that note, I actually have another session here in 5 minutes, so I need to get rolling, but just wanted to share this. These are our other upcoming events. You also see there, we had the virtual series rewards. So if you've already attended 2 events, you know, I track attendance. So make sure, again, your name's on that. Make sure your name was on your profile so we can get your name logged in. You know, and to do that, you just need to have your complete LinkedIn profile, an approved resume, and attend 2 of these events. And you guys will get one of those 2 items of your choosing. So definitely make sure to keep attending. Like I mentioned, always happy to help. If you have questions just from this and you just want to send an email, feel free to do that. If you want to set an appointment or attend a walk-in, my walk-ins are on Friday mornings between 8:30 and 12:45. So always feel free to hop on. You can find that link on Handshake under the first event. It also has a schedule. So maybe you're interested in a fellowship and a scholarship, or maybe you're pre-law. It'll label out which of our staff members works which time so that you know what makes most sense for you. So on that note, any last burning questions, or we feel pretty good? All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate you guys attending. And again, I look forward to seeing you guys again soon. Have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.